I lost my dad at a young age as well. I was 18 when he passed away. My brothers were much younger than me. But my dad was 42 when he passed away, and I just turned 39. And there's this realization the closer I get to 42 of how short my dad's life really was. And, I've thrown around phases or phrases like life is short in my 20s and into my early 30s, like knowing that tomorrow's never guaranteed, but that hit that like tomorrow's not guaranteed gets more real and more real the closer I get to the age that my dad passed away. When did that realization hit for you? Was it immediately after the loss of your parents? Was it before that? Like, when did you realize that you get to make the choices that you want to make because putting it off till tomorrow isn't a possibility sometimes?
Do you know what? It took me 7 years to probably get over the death of my mother, and I don't think you ever do. So my mother was 17, or I was 17 when my mother passed away, and it took me 7 years. I went numb. I literally it was a very and it's a very influential age. It's an unusual age, and you're sort of becoming an adult and all the rest. And probably the biggest shift, and it's the same. It took me 7 years after the death of my father to get over that. So it's a bit pointless, but I've now learned it takes me 7 years to get over the death of a parent, which I don't know what I do with this information anymore, but
Help
um,
others understand that even though their time frame is different, right? Like, unfortunately, there's no magic recipe.
no, and you know what, and I do say it out loud for a reason, because somebody, and I'll never forget, in the graveyard, when we were burying my mother, said to me, "It's like, listen, just take your time. This will take you a year to get over this." And a year came and went, and it's like I was numb. I'm like going, nope, don't feel anything. And I describe depression as almost like this big bland blur. You could win the lottery or the dog could die, and I would react the same. It was just
Yeah.
all a bit inconvenient, you know. And that was the one thing. It's ironically probably only in the last 3 years, when I've now looked back and I used to say, I've lost my mother and all these things happened. And now I look back and saying, I'm so grateful for my mother. I'm so grateful that, we had an amazing life. Yes, it's unfortunate she had to leave early, but in terms of what she did for us, in terms of the life we had, the family, the upbringing she gave me, it's like I'm actually super grateful for her. And that's been a
Yeah.
big, big mental shift, because we focus, instead of focusing on the loss and what we haven't got, when we actually focus on saying, listen, this is what I had. I wasn't beaten as a child. I wasn't, we didn't have any trauma or any, issues in the family as such. So it's not just a shift in perspective. Instead of counting down to, here's what I could have been, or here's what we could have had, and saying, listen, but look at what we had. It's beautiful.